Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you had a great weekend and peaceful weekend. And whether you were off or not off, I don't think everybody was off today or had off today for Columbus Day. I hope if you were off, you had a great holiday. And if you had to work, then welcome to the club. We all kind of did. So, again, thank you for joining me. This is actual news, and please add your voice to our conversation. Comment, share your opinion, ask questions. Also, if you know something that I don't know, I gladly stay corrected and we research that all together. So, again, thank you for joining tonight. We're going to review what happened during the weekend, also what happened today. A lot of that will be around international politics and global politics because perhaps you have heard, I hope you did, there was a big bamboozle around China and Taiwan. Also, unfortunate developments for Ukraine. And so we're going to discuss that. And so please ask questions. Whatever you don't understand, don't be too shy to ask a question because there's no dumb questions, there are only dumb answers. Okay? So, again, thank you for joining. And so let's begin with President Biden, who traveled to Florida over the weekend to oversee the relief efforts for those affected by Hurricane Milton. And so President Biden traveled to Florida to assess relief efforts in areas impacted by Milton through an aerial tour. So that was the first thing that he did, connecting with local officials and business owners while delivering news about additional aid. I do have a picture, so that's how it looked like. He was joined by some people who certainly have criticized him many times, and so that was this rare opportunity to see him, let's say, next to Representative Luna, who has been very critical of him for no particular reason and who offered some sort of compliments today, but in a weird way, that she was surprised and shocked how good he was at his job. Like, okay. Anyway, so, on his way to a briefing on recovery efforts, the president's motorcade passed Tropicana Field. I showed you the pictures. The stadium has suffered damage in terms of the roof, that it was blown off the stadium pretty much, or half of it, in the first few minutes of the hurricane when it made landfall. So, where significant damage was evident, including damaged roof and debris lining the road. Upon reaching St. Pete Beach, that's where he held his briefing, the devastation was stark, with mattresses, filing cabinets, and couches discarded outside homes, many bearing messages like Mayor, Governor, Mr. President, small businesses need help too, and just help us. So that was really rough to see, because people are either afraid to ask for help or perhaps help wasn't there, although we get the reports that help is there. And then again, we're facing this problem with disinformation where people are afraid to ask for help, but also to accept help. And so today I have, other reports too, where FEMA workers have been threatened in North Carolina. And, that's just something that is unnecessary, but also disgusting. Okay, really, there's no explanation for that. So Biden visited the St. Pete Beach residential area on 73rd Avenue. If you're familiar, that kind of gives you the location. Engaging with residents and first responders, distributing challenge coins, and shaking hands. So he was, as I mentioned, accompanied by Senator Rick Scott and Representative Anna Paulina Luna. The visit showcased a rare moment of this bipartisanship amidst the disaster. The area was really covered with debris, highlighting the extent of the destruction. So then, speaking for about 8 minutes, President Biden stood amid the rubble and destroyed home visible behind him. I have a few quotes and then I have a video. So he says, quote, thankfully, the storm impact was not as cataclysmic as we'd predicted, he stated, but for some individual, it was devastating. Entire neighborhoods were flooded and millions were without power. And so then he shared his own story when he had to deal with fire in his own home. And he says, it's in moments like this we come together to take care of each other, not as Democrats and Republicans, but as Americans. We are one United States. He also highlighted progress made through bipartisan support. And then he announced additional aid. And here's a video that I want to show you. It's 2 minutes and some, but it's really, I want you to hear from him. And he's investing specifically in the area and to help also small businesses, but nevertheless, most importantly, to restore electricity and power and water, which is certainly of significant importance. Significant importance. So take a look, and then we're going to discuss.
So far, we opened 10 disaster recovery centers in Florida, with more to come, so people can have one stop to meet with officials, get the federal help they're entitled to, that's available to them. Such a direct, immediate financial aid of no interest payment loans, mortgage relief, and so much more. You can also go online to disasterassistance.gov, disasterassistance.gov, or call 1-800-621-FEMA, F-E-M-A. Yesterday, after I signed the Major Disaster Declaration, more than 250,000 Floridians registered for help. 250,000, the most in a single day ever in the history of this country. 250,000. I know you're concerned about the debris removal, and it's obvious why. We're prioritizing debris removal and working with the state and local partners to clear roads, to get wreckage of the two hurricanes off properties, and so more folks can return home and businesses can receive much needed deliveries of food, fuel, medicine, and other essentials. That's a priority for me. Power has also been restored to over 2 million people in a matter of days. And thanks to tens of thousands of power workers from 43 states and Canada working nonstop, even more people will have more power restored soon. Today, I'm proud to announce $612 million to 6 new cutting-edge projects to support communities impacted by Hurricane Helene and Milton. That includes $47 million for Gainesville Regional Utilities and another $47 million for Florida Power and Light. This funding will not only restore power, but will make the region's power system stronger and more capable and reduce the frequency and duration of power outages while extreme weather events become more frequent. In fact, we've been able to restore power quicker because of critical infrastructure investments were made, both when I was vice president and president, to harden the grid.
So to recap, he announced $612 million in funding to assist communities affected by recent hurricanes, $47 million allocated for Gainesville Regional Utilities, and an additional $47 million for Florida Power and Light. And so in closing, he thanked first responders for their efforts, stating this is all team effort, folks. We made a big difference in saving lives, but there's much more to do. And we're going to do everything we can to get power back in your homes and help you build back stronger. So after his remarks, then Secretary Jennifer Granholm of the Department of Energy and Mayor Adrian Petrilla of St. Pete Beach spoke. Some of you, many of you actually asked about Governor DeSantis, right? Florida's governor. So Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, Press Secretary of the White House, she says that Governor Ron DeSantis was offered to join President Biden everywhere, aerial tour, getting briefing, offering remarks and whatnot, but he did not respond. But also, what does count is that Biden spoke by phone with North Carolina Governor Kemp, or Roy Cooper, sorry, regarding ongoing recovery efforts following Hurricane Helene. So for that reason, it's really up to governors. Some very negative thing from Florida today was that DeSantis now wants to reverse the voting results where the state voted in favor of reproductive rights and abortion rights. And he wants to reverse it, claiming that the results were not legitimate. Let's study that, and then I report the details. Now, speaking of North Carolina, and here's a video, not from CNN, not from MSNBC, so folks can claim that, oh my God, this is all very liberal. This is News Nation, right? It's called News Nation, where the FEMA director states that FEMA workers are receiving threats from those disbelievers, from the MAGA folk. So take a look what has been happening today and yesterday, certainly, and see for yourself.
All right, and just so we can put this rumor to rest, you have the funds to take care of everything with Milton, correct?
We do. We have the funds to take care of everything for Hurricane Milton. The people do not have to worry about FEMA not being able to provide assistance to them.
All right.
We want people to know that.
All right. I asked because you now have on your website a whole section that's dealing with rumor response because of all this disinformation. We just heard President Biden talking about it. There are reports now that FEMA workers trying to help in North Carolina are getting threats from residents there who believe the disinformation that if they accept help, the government will seize their land, or if they accept $750 in emergency money, they won't get any more. None of that is true, right?
None of that is true. This misinformation is dangerous.
So this is during Milton. Now, today, it is reported that one person was detained already for not just threatening, but coming in with equipment, with, to shoot people, to threaten them, to in any way cause harm and damage to FEMA workers. And so then the administrator, FEMA's administrator, spoke out today stating, we're focused on what we're doing. We don't let ourselves to get distracted. But you see how long it drags out. This is during Milton. Now, a week later, we're still there, and it's just getting worse. So this is really on behalf of everybody who spreads misinformation. I opened TikTok yesterday. It's all over the place, right? You accept help. They're going to take your business away. They're going to take this. They're going to take that. No. Actually, what administration is doing is allocating more funds. And this is what I covered on Saturday. So go ahead, watch this coverage where I offered exact statements, or better, read the newsletter. It's free. Read the newsletter, get actual news where it states more funds have been allocated to cover the damages for businesses and homes that were not insured. Because they can't claim the insurance. They can't get their house back or business back. So for what President Biden is asking for more funds to be allocated by the Congress, not specifically for FEMA, but for SBA, Small Business Administration, that is set to cover the loss of business, loss of profits, loss of assets. So for that reason, it's really on us. Every time you see disinformation, claim it, right? Click on it. Say, this is not true. If you open Twitter shitter, or you open YouTube or TikTok, whatever, comment that it's not true, mark it, report it, because it's really up to us to stop the nonsense, because people who need it the most are confused the most. And then the most vulnerable ones are those who are, let's say, single, or they're not having big community that is, bipartisan, so to speak, that would explain. They're scared, and hence they're missing on aid that is becoming life-threatening at this point. So check your comments. Hey, guys. Brandon. Hi, Brandon. Hello. Hey, Keith. Really bothers me the news asks these questions instead of just stating it's a lie. Yeah, exactly. But it's News Nation, right? So for News Nation, that's breaking news, right? It's not supposed to be news at all, right? You debunk what's a lie, what's a clear lie, right? For them, they want to discuss it. That's the same approach if you pay attention also for CNN. They love this, somebody accused somebody of something, and they're going to invite the person who's been accused for their opinion or their statement. And so this sort of drama thing, that's the CNN style. MSNBC offers a lot of people with opinions. But in normal case scenario, I absolutely agree. You state the facts, you move on, right? The misinformation is becoming dangerous. Indeed. It's already became dangerous. That's how we got here. So let's talk about Vice President Harris in North Carolina over the weekend. I know now she is, or she actually finished speaking at other rallies, which we'll be covering tomorrow. But in North Carolina, first, she met with Black farmers ahead of her remarks at East Carolina University. Today, by the way, she traveled and met with Black man for Harris, or like Black voters, Black male for Harris, and visited some stores, Black owned businesses, and she held this authentic conversations as to continuing the conversations that was started by President Obama, former President Obama, during his rally that he held in Pennsylvania, where he said, why aren't we seeing the same numbers in terms of support that were there for him? Is it because she's a woman? But why would you, especially as an African American person, why would you align with somebody who has been targeting you and openly hating on you, meaning Trump, as opposed to somebody who grew up like you, knows who you are, knows what you need, knows how to help you, and knows the other side on how to make that happen, right? And you would not align with her just because she's a female. So for that reason, she's continuing that conversation, which I'm really glad to see. So she also made a stop at Greenville Church ahead of the sold-out rally at the ECU. And so here's a brief clip. It's just 32 seconds. If you can, please go watch her entire sermon or whatever that was, rally, speech, remarks. She brought us to church, and it was rightfully so. And it wasn't joyful. Take a look.
And first learn the teachings of the Bible. My earliest memories of those teachings are about a loving God. A God who asks us to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. To defend the rights of the poor and the needy. And so at an early age, I learned that faith is a verb. It is something we show in action and in service.
Now imagine Trump talking like it. I mean, he called what, Arizonans, our agents or something like that. I posted this funny clip because he was trying to read teleprompter, but he can't read, certainly. But if you haven't, speaking of Trump, and we're going to get to him, which gets scarier day by day. And I see the fast development in his speeches. And as somebody who worked in politics for quite some time, diplomacy, I see exactly what is happening, and it's accelerated. It's very fast development right now. But speaking of Trump, if you haven't watched, I recorded a short clip. I did a deep dive coverage on Saturday, all about that Alien Enemies Act. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch this video. Comment if you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to comment this video right underneath this live stream. You need to know what this is so you know exactly why he's talking about it and what does he mean by that, because it's big news. Now, she, of course, then held the rally, and we had one of our very appreciated Onest family members, Rosie Marie, attending the rally. And so she was so wonderful to share some clips with us. So this is a lineup for the rally. So the campaign said there were 7,000 people, and this is the party time before the rally time. Take a look. And certainly they were positioned very close because she's using a walker, so they let her stand right by the stage, which is amazing. And there's a wonderful clip of Kamala Harris connecting with them before she left. But here's a quick readout. So VP Harris energized a crowd of 7,000 supporters during rally in Greenville, North Carolina, as she emphasized the importance of the upcoming election, just 23 at that point days away, now 3 weeks. Concluding her remarks, or in her remarks, Harris highlighted the campaign's commitment to unite citizens regardless of political affiliation. Quote, I have spoken to both state and local officials, both Republican and Democrat, to let them know we will be with you every step of the way, certainly referring to the relief efforts of both hurricanes. Because in times like this, we stand together as one nation. That is who we are, she stated, reinforcing a message of bipartisanship. Harris acknowledged the challenges ahead, stating, now, listen, I know we're really excited to see each other, but it's going to be a tight race until the very end. She called for hard work from her supporters, assuring them that their efforts could lead to victory. Now, another change, what I was very happy to see, is the change of rhetoric, or the change of style of speaking. As you may have heard, I did cover that on Saturday. Kamala Harris's doctor has released a statement depicting her health and well-being. We still have not received that from Trump at all. Trump was triggered, and then he received some tweet, or he released a tweet referring the media and everybody who's interested. Certainly not MAGA supporters, because they bother about his health or not. Why they don't question that, right? If you love somebody, if this is your cult leader, aren't you interested to see if he's okay mentally, physically, emotionally? And if you want him to lead for 4 years, don't you want to know that he's capable of doing what you entrust him to do? But we don't have any medical records. Now, he referred us to some statement from this drunkard, unlicensed doctor / congressman / whoever, Big Bamboozle Jackson, who issued some statement depicting Trump's post-assassination attempts, wounds. We still don't know, by the way, what happened there, really. So no medical records. And so what I really liked is that Kamala Harris directly addressed Trump and his team, specifically referring to those missing, mind you, missing medical records.
And here's the thing. It makes you wonder. Why does his staff want him to hide away? One must question. Are they afraid that people will see that he is too weak and unstable to lead America? Is that what's going on?
And so I really like this direct approach, and also not being angry or anything, but being straightforward. Because I love the joy and everything, but you need to apply strength, and you need to speak to the weaknesses, right, of Trump that are evident. And he only has weaknesses. I mean, there is no strength. There's literally no strength to it. Zero. I don't even know what is that advantage there. And I wholeheartedly hope that this 50-50 situation in the polls is just brought up by the media to make it a horse race and make money. I doubt that that's true, but let's see. Let's wait. Let's do the work. That's most importantly. So Harris also questioned Trump's transparency. I did that. She emphasized the need for leadership that addresses the people's needs, stating, quote, America is ready to chart a new way forward, ready for a new and optimistic generation of leadership. Addressing key campaign issues, Harris spoke about her plans for housing, in-home care, and combating price gouging, advocating for what she calls an opportunity economy. She asserted, we will move forward. Ours is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. Then she, of course, noted the urgency in terms of voting. In North Carolina, voting begins soon. So also, by the way, if you are at home and you requested a ballot and you're sitting on it, send it off. Just make sure it is sent off, and then check the status too. So here's my favorite video of Kamala Harris leaving. Take a look. And so she said that they connected. They looked into each other's eyes, but she couldn't capture it. But it was very, certainly a special moment for the keeps. And I love it. I love it. And thank you for sharing this with us. And I want to highlight our Terry Mills, right? Because she is a nurse and she's headlining Nurses for Harris. And aside from knocking on doors, speaking to people, which she's doing such a tremendous job, on the weekend in free time, volunteering and doing this, which is really, really admirable and so needed. So please, please thank Terry. She's incredible. We talk to each other in our watch parties and we connect, and she's incredible. So thank you for everything you're doing. And Terry, if you're watching on Twitter Shitter, go ahead. She just shared what I guesstimate is the letter, right? So this is a sign-on letter led by nurses and doctors urging Trump to release his medical records. Enough is enough. Thank you. So I encourage you to go download the letter or the link and share it. Share it. Especially if you're a Trump supporter. Share it. Wouldn't you be worried about your grandpa who is rambling? Calling Arizona people, Asians are losing teeth everywhere he goes, farting himself to sleep. I mean, wouldn't you be worried? So that certainly, it's on you more than on everybody else. Kitty says, "Oh, awesome, Terry." Yes. Yay, Rosie Marie. Yeah, I don't know if she's watching, but thank you for everything. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Terry. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Terry, for door knocking and extra support. Absolutely, yes. Tim Walz, I'm not sure if we ever see Vice President releasing records, or it is really about that. Let's focus on what is needed. Let's not ask questions that would divert the other side's attention to what's not really necessary. Thanks to everyone here, because most of you are heeding the call. Do something. Exactly. Yes, Terry. Yes, to your point, do something. Do whatever is in your capacity. Don't hurt yourself or anybody else, but certainly do to benefit, because, when it's too late, that's will be certainly over. So let's talk about our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, who was in Reno, Nevada. She held a bunch of speeches yesterday, also a bunch of speeches today. Tomorrow she will be in Pennsylvania holding more speeches. Everybody is everywhere, honestly. I can sit here and just read out where everybody is going to be. Kamala Harris is flying every day, holding 2-3 events per day, including Sunday, through the entire week. Second gentleman, same story. He's in New York next 2 days. He's in Arizona then, Thursday, Friday. Everybody's flying all around. First Lady Jill Biden, 5 different locations. President Biden, by the end of this week, is traveling to Berlin. So to speak, there's not going to be Rammstein, which we're going to talk about in terms of Ukraine. Not a good development, but he will be in Berlin holding meetings. He's not going to go to Angola as planned. He's going to come back, and then other trips will be planned later as we go. So, but everybody is away and traveling and dipping and doing. Okay, so if you can dip and do it and benefit, do your part. Now, First Lady Jill Biden spoke at National Automobile Museum in Reno, Nevada, addressing about 145 attendees. She said Biden would be very, very jealous because all the cars that he loves and, admires and all that kind of stuff was everything there. So certainly he was missed in that part. But you see her speaking here in Reno, and she said, serving as First Lady has been the honor of my life, but I also worked hard to build a career that I love. So I do both. Dr. Biden defended Vice President Kamala Harris against criticism and criticized Donald Trump policies, particularly on tax and women's health care. Quote, Donald Trump's abortion bans have taken away the ability for women to make their own health care decisions. Our health, safety, and freedoms shouldn't hinge on the state you live in. She also wondered how come she could enjoy more rights than her granddaughter. Finnegan. So I really encourage you to read the entire depiction of her speech. She's mainly talking about reproductive rights and also women's rights and equality in that sense, and all the speeches that she's holding. But if you're not subscribed, go onest.substack.com. Go ahead. I also shared there the link for our watch party tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to hold a watch party to see Cross and Allred and their debate. We're going to have more watch parties for Kamala Harris town hall, on her appearance on Fox News, town hall on CNN. There will be another town hall on Fox News, I think. So a bunch of stuff is coming up. And until the end of election, you just have to be subscribed free. You don't have to on substack.com, whether you are supporting. I really thank you if you decide to do so. If you're a free subscriber, doesn't matter. Go ahead, and there you have access to our watch parties. After, and that's what I wanted to announce, also after the election season, we will continue with watch parties. And what we're planning is to have guests whom I will be interviewing. And then for watch parties, for our subscribers, they will be joining to answer questions. We're going to have book clubs. We're going to have a bunch of people, political figures, and in the news media and whatnot, who will join us and have one-on-one time with our Onest subscribers. So go ahead, join the newsletter. That's where you're going to be updated. So this is our plan for after the election. So nothing stops there. We're just getting started. And we're also going to have in-person events too in due time. Alrighty, so let's continue. Of course, Dr. Biden, by the way, if you're in Nevada, you're voting on October 19th. Today is what, 14th? 5 days to go. If you have your ballot, send it out. Don't sit on it. Plan when you're going to vote. I'm going to vote the first day it is available in New York, because I don't know. I mean, we have a big event for election day and election night specifically. So plan. If you have a plan, then you're, a trooper with a plan. So she said, by the way, this is interesting. Remember, in 2020, we won Nevada by just little over 33,000 votes, like Dr. Biden said. And we're going to do it again. Right now, you can vote by mail or vote early in person starting October 19th. So make a plan to vote early or return your ballot today, Nevada. So after the speech, she interacted with folks, and they clapped and waved, and it was all this lovey-dovey fest, which is really anywhere she goes, that's what it ends up being. Also, former President Clinton has joined the campaign now officially. And he requested, it was a long time ago, he requested to go into the country, so to speak. He said, don't put me in Madison Square Garden or like New York City. I want to go and speak to people in the country. So he traveled to Georgia. And take a look at his video, or a video of him campaigning for Harris Walls in Georgia. Take a look.
Our adversaries are clever. For example, I was just talking about it. They could have contested more races down here, but they didn't do it because they want your turnout to be low. Right. They want you to go to sleep, to think you don't make a difference. Oh. And you may make more difference than you ever have. Right. Raphael Warnock is a senator today because of the turnout in South Georgia. And you know.
And yeah, Kelly says she voted today, dropping my ballot tomorrow. Awesome. Very, very good. Did I see Daniel do the same thing? Got my absentee ballot, send it back. Good. Perfect. Weeks ago. Okay, post-election events sound fun. Yes, that's going to be really fun. It's going to be big. I think Michelle, okay, were you guys talking about Michelle Obama? Let's not discuss because we don't know. Bill Clinton had Georgia crowd enthused. Yes, and by the way, he went to McDonald's. And I mean, you guys are commenting that he doesn't need a teleprompter to talk. No, I covered Clinton Global Initiative. He doesn't need a teleprompter. He needs more like somebody to say, it's time. He can talk for many, many hours, I bet. And it's very interesting to listen to him. So it's that's also be appreciative of what we have and what we can enjoy right now. Certainly, he went to McDonald's. Take a look at the lady when she realized that it's actually, in fact, Bill Clinton in front of her. The lady's face, she's like, this is Bill Clinton. Oh my God. Also in Florida, speaking of Florida, the Villages, they started early voting process, and they had a line that was miles away, miles long, to vote. Take a look. This is, by the way, as MAGA as it gets. This is Villages. So very happy to see that. I also posted several signs, even in Fort Lauderdale, right? The eastern part of Florida. Harris wall signs. So maybe that's, the shift. Now, let's talk about Vance and Trump. For Vance, I dare you to spend 1 minute. And this is not to laugh at him. Vance was recording something online. And whenever you record something online, you have to dig into your system, whether it's Zoom or any other system that you're using, to disable the mirroring effect, right? So this is my right hand, this is my left hand. We have mirroring disabled. But if it's mirrored, then it's kind of like reverse, right? So for him, it was reversed, but he had a sign behind him. So instead of like digging and fixing the problem with the mirroring thing, or making his sign, reverse, so it could be read off of camera, printing it a certain way, he tried to fix the issue in a certain way. Now, watch this video. It's 1 minute. And just keep in mind that this is somebody who probably already has access to certified information, but this is somebody who possibly can also control nuclear codes.
Real men of genius.
But what? This is what the song is.
Real men of genius.
Put that. Can we flip that? And just like, I think definitely like.
Real men of genius. Real men of genius.
I mean, it's not like that most of the time. You just leave it.
Real.
Oy, oy. Somehow he made children. I don't know. I guess that's where Darwinism wins. Let's talk about another genius, is Donald Trump. We saw his rally at Coachella. What we didn't see afterwards, that he stranded all these people. He allegedly arranged buses, around 30 buses, to drive people from their parking spots to Coachella, right, which is in the desert. But then when it came to going back after the rally, there were no buses to be found. Take a look.
This isn't normal. Apparently the buses are no longer coming, or at least there used to be like 20 buses when we were being brought here, but now there's only like 3 buses operating, and it's an absolute, it's just chaos, absolute chaos. All of us are stranded here. Everyone's stranded here. Something went wrong. Look at this.
There's chicks that are organizing this that are failing.
But certainly these dodo birds will not blame Trump. They will blame everybody else. Massive update. The bus driver just shared with us that all of the fuel stations for the buses, not cars, were completely depleted around the event, and they all had to drive 30 minutes away to get refueled. A few of the buses are stranded out in the roads right now with no gas. And also, there were apparently 60 buses employed for this event, and the fuel reserves were completely depleted. Now, this has to be looked into. Woo! What has to be looked into, honey bunny, whoever you wrote it, are those GoFundMe things that Trump is hosting for all the victims and stuff. That's where you have to look into, honey bunny, not the buses. He didn't pay. Also, new videos came out today that he actually stranded people who were in Aurora, in Colorado, where he announced his Alien Enemies Act and how it's going to protect people of Aurora. But he made them jog to the rally and back in the sunshine. So that is Trump. But you buy his hats, you buy his Bibles, you buy whatever. That's worth it. He can give you a freaking bus ride. Okay. All right, so I want to play a video from Nancy Pelosi. So there's a video that I wanted to play, and then I saw Nancy Pelosi's reply, so I put it all together. Trump, remember I covered the Alien Enemies Act, where the narrative was we're protecting America from those people who go across the border, right? The people from Venezuela, just being plain racist. In my coverage, I said, look, but this Alien Enemies Act was created to protect American people from French people. So it's white people protecting from white people. So if somebody wants to target white people here, where's a will, there is a way. That's what this thing was initially created for. And I beg you to watch that video and read the newsletter and everything. So the video is like 2 minutes. Just watch it and you will understand what it is. I'm literally reading out from the Library of Congress. Now, he changed his rhetoric same next day, right? That's what I mean. It's accelerating. In my coverage, I said, look, but the narrative is brown people being racist, but it can also flip to white people. Next day, he says, liberals, Democrats, we have to clean up from within. And maybe we should be even deploying National Guard and Army and troops. And by the way, when it comes to scum, as he refers to, those folks, those are us, right? Those are people who are not voting for him. That's the scum he's referring to. And so Nancy Pelosi was asked to comment on it. And so they played the video and then also her reaction. Take a look.
You talk about Trump. I want to play what Trump actually said about democracy and about how it might work out. He said it to Fox News on Sunday, and he was talking about an enemy within. I don't know whether you caught it, probably, but anyway, here's a bit of it.
I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. It should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
He probably includes you in the radical left and probably includes you as an enemy from within. National Guard, military.
What you have to understand about the former president is he's always projecting. When he talks about the enemy within, he's talking about himself and his supporters. And when he's talking about actions that may be taken, he's talking about what they have done, what they are doing right now, and what they may continue to do. So understand, when he says crooked Hillary, he knows he's crooked. When he says crazy Nancy, he knows he's crazy. When he says the enemy within, he's talking about himself.
Now, I'm not a full fan of Nancy Pelosi, hence I'm not really eager to read her new book because of the Pass the Torch thing and Let's Have Open Convention, which was crazy. Okay, not to quote Trump, but this is something that I certainly have built my opinion on, and with respect, right? Respectfully. I stick to that. But she does have a point. As much as Liz Cheney also, who commented, take a look.
This way, President Biden has said that he doesn't know if there will be a peaceful transfer of power in 2025. You just heard how the House Speaker answered my questions about whether he would certify the election results. Do you have faith that this election will be free and fair and that there will be a peaceful transfer of power?
I do not have faith that Mike Johnson will fulfill his constitutional obligations. And if you just look at what he did in 2020, he knew, and he knew with specificity, that the claims of fraud that Donald Trump was making and that he was repeating, he knew those to be false. We had very clear and specific conversations about that. He knew that courts had specifically found that those claims were false. He knew they weren't true. He also knew that what he was urging Congress do in terms of throwing out the votes of millions of Americans, he knew with specificity that that was unconstitutional. He was told that not only in discussions with me, but also by the House Republican Counsel. He signed his name to a brief filed with the United States Supreme Court that made those claims he knew to be false. So he has a record repeatedly of doing things that he knows to be wrong, that he knows to be unconstitutional in order to placate Donald Trump. And frankly, you know, you saw that sycophancy just now on display. So I think that it's very concerning. I do think that Donald Trump has consistently said again and again and again, you know, in the last few months, that this election, you know, is going to be rigged, and that if he loses, that's why. So I think it's very important that that the Republicans not be in the majority in the House come January 2025.
And when it comes to...
And that's the key message here. If Liz Cheney says, and this is exactly what I was talking about around a month ago, Republicans need to lose this election to win in terms of protecting their party and having at least something to rebuild on. Right? I'm not against two-party system, but whatever MAGA is, it's not Republican Party. And certainly voting Democrat all, you know, up and down the ballot, that's the key to allowing Kamala Harris to be effective, right? Now, in terms of Trump, another shit show comments that he's as good of a speaker as Churchill.
I don't think I've ever had a story that Trump is a great speaker. I hear about great speakers like Churchill. I hear about a lot of great speakers.
All this BS, right? Now, James Carville has summarized it in a very, very effective way. I really ask you to watch it. It's very straightforward. It's 1 minute, 11 seconds. 111. But I think he nails it. Take a look.
Just think of what we learned in the last 48 hours. We had General Flynn say gates of hell are going to rain on Trump's enemies when he wins. We had General Milley say that he's a fascist to his core. We heard Trump on Fox this morning said he was going to use the military to round up his political enemies. Trump has announced that he will be giving a speech at Madison Square Garden on October the 27th. Please Google Madison Square Garden, February the 10th, 1939, and see what happened there. They are telling you exactly what they're going to do. They're telling you we're going to institute a fascist regime. And the press and all the Alan Dershowitz wannabes out there, but Shane, she should have gone to the Al Smith dinner, really. She doesn't do enough long-form interviews. Now, I'm so sick of these people. The entire Constitution is in jeopardy. The Supreme Court and Clarence Thomas have totally green-lighted the idea that you could use the military to round up your political enemies. And the whole, I am fair and more truth-teller than anybody else, caucus is making a giant fool of itself right now.
Continuing on his speech, let me know, where is that? Guess, what is it? What am I showing you? Is it Berlin next to Hitler? Is it a Hitler rally? Or is it Dresden or something like that? Just one answer, comment. What do you think it is? Where is it? Now, James Carville said February 10th. Correction is February 20th. But this here, what I'm showing you is Madison Square Garden and the neo-Nazi rally in 1939. On February 20th, 1939, the pro-Nazi German-American Bund drew more than 20,000 people to a rally in Madison Square Garden, supported by white Christian nationalists. Those that Speaker Johnson refers to. And that's what Kerrville was referring to. Yep, Madison Square Garden. Yeah, America First rally, exactly. So, and to draw, yeah, it was officially announced that his rally, Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden, is on October 27th at 5 p.m. It's a Sunday thing. If you're in Manhattan, if you're in New York area, just be wise. And, they repeatedly offered me, for instance, today credentials and all, but better safe than sorry. But this is something that is not from 1939. This is this weekend. This is Jupiter, Florida. There was a boat parade organized by Lara Trump, RNC's Lara Trump, and Trump's Lara Trump. Take a look at the video. I do have it. Yeah. Wrong one. Almost same, but wrong one. Where do I have
that? Wow, look at those beautiful swastikas. There we go. White power. Hail Trump. Yeah. Make America white again. Woo, woo, woo. We're out here in Jupiter, loving it, loving the good weather, blue skies. Woo! Make America.
It's not one boat. It's a whole parade. Neo-Nazis joined RNC co-chair Lara Trump boat parade in Jupiter, Florida, yelling white power, make America white again, hail Trump, and racial slurs. But who helps Trump to stay afloat, if you will? This is the mainstream media. This is today. I didn't share that on socials for obvious reasons. But this is what Trump's team, press team, has been celebrating all day today. The recent headlines from mainstream media. I clicked on all of them. Those are true. New York Times, Harris struggles to win over Latinos while Trump holds his grip. Politico, the latest union snub for Harris and Walz underscores a bigger problem for their campaign. CNN, Milwaukee's black voters expose cracks in Democratic foundation for Harris. Politico, Latino support for Harris isn't where it needs to be. It continues. The Hill, Democrats fear Harris losing too many male voters to Trump. And I'm not reading out New York Post or anything like that. It continues. USA Today, Trump is in better polling spot now than he was against Clinton or Biden. NBC News, dead heat. Trump polls even with Harris and NBC polls. Guardian, Democrats on edge in critical Michigan amid fears of waning enthusiasm. National Review, Harris is becoming less popular. So my question is to mainstream media, what WTF? You will be the first. You and I and all of us combined, because we're all together media. We will be banned first when he wins. If he wins, God forbid. In case. We will be banned first. We will be targeted first. Whether you are white or black or brown or whatever color you are, you will be targeted first. Licking his behind right now will not help you. All press will be banned. And his press team will be the media. Get it into your clickbaity head that somehow realize that being, like impartial when you're dealing with this dictator and fascist somehow is to your advantage. He will ban you first. He also will sell us to China, to Russia. So learn Chinese, learn Korean, learn Russian. Because if you want to stay in the media and you want to serve your dictator, then you will have to produce content in many languages. What are you doing? What is happening? Why? Now, I want to read out from the newsletter from Robert Reich, former Secretary of Labor. He wrote a newsletter, May I Have a Word? Here's a readout. Some of you have shared with me your fears about the upcoming election, now just 22 days away. He wrote it yesterday. I can't sugarcoat this. It is frightening and worrying. We have already endured 4 years of Trump. Another term could tip America and the world into full-bore fascism. Trump has become even more unhinged and vindictive. His fascistic personality is now on full display. His cruel lies, scapegoating of innocent people, creation of enemies and enemies within. J.D. Vance is as bad, if not worse. And I agree with that. Many of you are dismayed that Trump is running almost head-to-head with Harris, given everything we and the rest of America already know about him, and given how talented and dedicated Harris is and will be as president. I understand your dismay. Rarely in history has America faced such a clear choice between authoritarianism and democracy, between moral squalor and decency. Why don't more people see this? Or maybe they do, and the polls are flawed. I urge you to keep the faith. That's really quoting Biden. Especially your faith in the common sense and the good-heartedness of the vast majority of our fellow Americans. So let's keep the faith. Let's do the work. And I encourage you, starting today, when you see misinformation, report it. Click misinformation, has to be checked. Don't just mute it. We all do it on Twitter shitter. We mute it and block these people. You have to click and report it. It starts, and I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm talking about YouTube. I'm talking about TikTok. I'm talking about Instagram. I'm talking about Facebook. All over. Don't be the silent participant in this who just ignores misinformation. It is not enough. These headlines produce clickbaits. That's why they are created, because they bring what? Money. They bring money every time you click on it. Report it. Another thing, what I wanted to share. Oh, yeah. So now let's talk about the Middle East. Certainly. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke with Israeli Minister of Defense Gallant on October 13th, yesterday, to express his condolences for the IDF soldiers killed in a drone attack from Lebanese Hezbollah today, which was yesterday. Here, I want to take a break. I'm not going to show you a video. I'm not going to show you pictures because it's very difficult to digest those pictures. IDF is not highlighting it. News is not really covering it. But they did hit IDF, the forces, Israeli forces. It's a very bloody situation. And what they did it with, Israeli journalists reported that Hezbollah used carbon fiber drones, which Russia uses in Ukraine, in attack on Israeli base. They're difficult to detect with radar and to intercept. So pretty much it's a joint axis of evil, if you will. It's a joint effort now. Whatever Iran doesn't have, they get it from Russia. Whatever Russia doesn't have, Iran gets it. Whatever North Korea doesn't have from either, it gets it. Whatever China needs to sponsor, right, to use somebody's hands to kill somebody, they do that. Now, to continue, Secretary Austin reaffirmed that U.S.'s deep commitment to Israel's security, demonstrated today by the announcement of the deployment of a U.S. terminal high-altitude area defense battery to Israel in the coming days. Then he talked about taking necessary measures to ensure safety and security of forces and Lebanese armed forces, sort of playing this bipartisan thing. Let's not hurt Lebanon. Let's be casual. Let's be diplomatic. Let's have a conversation. Now, this is not happening. Netanyahu announced today that the retaliation against Iran is going to be very soon, before the election. And then Iran said, if we are attacked, we're going to have something before the election. So all of that is leading up to the election. So let's not be blue-eyed and just be like, very naive, that it's not connected to the election, that it's not connected to Trump, that it's not connected to the outcome and the influence of the outcome. Now, what this is, if we're kind of not clear what the THAAD is, the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, that's according to an April report by Congressional Research Service. Our Army has 7 of those batteries. Generally, each consists of 6 truck-mounted launchers, 48 interceptors, radio and radar equipment, and requires 95 soldiers to operate. Purchase cost for each, it's around $800 million per battery. Now, tell me once again how much we're sending to Ukraine. We're wasting so much. Whatever has been allocated to Ukraine and celebrated. And I was in those meetings. We applauded and listened to the national anthem and speeches with Biden, with Zelensky, with Ursula von der Leyen, with everybody. Everybody. It hasn't been delivered. Now, the Ramstein meeting would have been exactly about that. Remember the sentence that I draw your attention to, where Ukrainians said that, Biden is giving us up for sale, blah, blah, blah. And it was the sentence in the 8 where they said, we're aiming to enhance Ukraine's ability to strike long distance. To which I drew your attention and said, let's not, spread the BS. Is Ukraine allowed or not? They're put it into the 8. This is important. This will be delivered before Biden leaves office. I drew your attention to it. But it hasn't been acted upon yet. I hope it will. But yet, no. But still, let's stick to the Middle East. Now, it was the report that Hezbollah now uses also drones from Russia. But now let's going more into Ukraine, because it's all connected. Per Zelensky, Russia has dropped about 900 guided aerial bombs on Ukraine in just 7 days. Now, all this hoopla, and no disrespect, we need to protect Israel. I totally get it. It's an ironclad, to quote, commitment. Ukraine, the Budapest Memorandum, signed off its security to US, Britain, and America. Clinton signed it. In return, they destroyed F-35s. That Ukraine is so desperate to get F-16. F-35 is better. They destroyed F-35s. I have a video how people were crying and cutting them in half. I can show it to you from Ukrainian television. USSR times. Not post-USSR times, certainly. But all that was signed to be protected by US, Russia, Britain. Isn't that an ironclad commitment? So Ukraine is hit by 900 guided aerial bombs in a week. And there's no such thing as this sent to anybody. There is not even an allowance. Not a permission to strike far. This thing right here strikes over 200 kilometers. That's what Ukraine is asking. It's not getting it. Not getting the permission, but most importantly, not getting the equipment to use to do this. They're incapable of doing it. What Ukraine is using, Ukrainian drones. And that's why you see oil facilities, military facilities, burning, being targeted and being hit in Russia. That's Ukrainian drones. But something like this? No. So here, that's why, please understand the disconnect. That's why Ukrainians are acting all over, social media in general, saying, 3 years, we're in the war. We're in the middle of Europe, in the heart of Europe. What's happening? Why? Huh? I leave it up to you to make your decision. Now, in addition to the bombs, Russia launched 40 missiles and 400 attack drones of various types. Again, last 7 days. Zelensky, quote, "No nation should have to endure such trials alone. Our partners have the ability to provide the necessary quantity and quality of the air defense systems, make decisions for our sufficient long-range capabilities, and ensure the timely delivery of defense aid to our troops. Time must not be wasted. A clear signal of resolve must be sent. We are working tirelessly to secure the means for Ukraine to fully respond to Russian terror." Now, here's a map. You see the thing? It's written in Russian. It's called Sartana. But on the right, you see that's the circle thing? So this is where the North Korean forces are right now, in the occupied areas of Ukraine. Quote from Zelensky, "We see an increasing alliance between Russia and regimes like North Korea. This is no longer just about transferring weapons. It is actually about transferring people from North Korea to the occupying military forces. Obviously, in such circumstances, our relations with partners need to develop further." AKA, alarm! The front line needs more support. Where is it? I lost it. When we talk about giving Ukraine greater long-range capabilities and more decisive supplies for our forces, it's not just a list of military equipment. It's about increasing the pressure on the aggressor. Pressure that will be stronger than what Russia can handle. And it's about preventing an even larger war. Zelensky also informed that if North Koreans were to fully align with Russia, which they signed off in July, I shared that statement, then I deleted it. I don't want to spread anything for Russians. I mean, Medvedev blocked me already. This is their former president. I don't want to, anyway. But they have signed an agreement officially in North Korea. There's a collaboration. So North Korea officially pretty much entered the war against Ukraine. And so Zelensky warned that if North Korea comes to the front line will fall. And what would be really, really upsetting to me personally is that because of this inaction, whether, trying not to piss off either subgroup to affect Harris's win, I don't know. But this inaction might sabotage a nation that is very pro-American, wholeheartedly pro-American. That is Ukraine. Now, a bit of a rhetoric, so you see the connection between MAGA and Russia. Just the same words. Medvedev, who blocked me, and by the way, this is retweeted by the Chinese news. He says, "No cash to clear up Hurricane Milton in Florida, no cash for French farmers, no cash to revive German industry. However, they found enough cash to support crazy drunken mob of Ukrainian thugs in Europe and turn our weapons to exterminate Slavs in the military conflict." Now, this guy wakes up drunk, spends the day drunk, goes to bed drunk. This guy talks about Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene. He wouldn't be able to point it on a map. But this is where you see where the MAGA rhetoric comes from. It comes from Kremlin with love. Now I want to play you a video. It will be with subtitles. This video is from today. This video discusses Kamala Harris, that she called out, also stitched a video they're referring to. They're calling out Kamala Harris because she, on the show with Colbert, referred to Putin and Xi and Kim Jong-un as dictators and killers. Rightfully so. This went viral, has been discussed on Russian news, up, down, front, and center. Take a look.
Дмитрий Сергеевич, вас уже просили прокомментировать уже ставшие некой даже плохой традицией хамские выпады американских политиков высокопоставленных, и вы комментировали. Но вот один из основных кандидатов на пост президента США, если представить, что Камала Харрис станет президентом США, то она уже выходит, заложила мину под свои будущие отношения с Россией, с Китаем, с КНДР, назвав лидеров этих стран диктаторами-убийцами. Это вот вообще как и можно ли так начинать работу?
Ну, оказывается, можно. Высший политический истеблишмент Соединенных Штатов Америки, по всей видимости, впитал такую политическую культуру. Это, собственно, наверное, квинтэссенция той самой модели международных отношений, которую они пытаются навязывать всему миру. И той самой модели, которая все меньше начинает нравиться мировому большинству. В этом суть происходящего.
Your opponent, Donald Trump, says that these and other, this conflict, Ukraine, other things around the world, he could fix it like that with a single phone call. He loves talking about his close relationship with Viktor Orban and Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un.
Dictators and authoritarians and
Vladimir
people
Putin.
who have been well described as murderers.
Rightfully so. What are the Western nations waiting for? Germany also, thank you for reminding me. Germany backed out and will not be sending long-range weapons to Ukraine. That has been announced a day ago. When I grew up in Germany, they had a leader, Bundeskanzler Schröder. He he was very buddy-ish with Putin. That's how far it goes. I mean, I was 13 at that point. So 24 years later now. When Schroeder retired, he from then on is paid by Putin $300,000 a month to advocate for Nord Stream, to pretty much make Germany dependent on Russian gas. And they've been fully dependent. For that reason, they also went as far as to create a nuclear facility, if you will, co-chaired by Moscow and Berlin in Germany. So their biggest fear is like, oh, they're going to go against Russia and they're just going to blow it up in Germany because they have access to it. Just realize like the depth of this dependence. Do you think domestic weather issues have attracted Biden administration? And then you reiterated, why have weather emergencies here sidetracked? No, Ruby, no, because whatever is being transferred to Ukraine is not physically in USA. It's in Germany. So the F-16, the long-range weapons, the all the aid that has been announced, we're NATO, right? So it's been stationed in Germany, in Poland. So it's already there. It doesn't have to fly across the Atlantic or God forbid be in Florida. So no, that's no. Where are Ukraine's allies? North Korea can waltz into Ukrainian territory and operate as a proxy. Exactly. That's my question. Yes, Scholz announced it yesterday. UN declaration was just a spectacle. Yeah. As much as the Budapest agreement, unfortunately. Now, here's something that maybe you can help me understand this, but this is from Ukrainian side. And this is what's not being, by the way, one thing. What Russia discusses, my last point. Kremlin has been blowing up with this. Remember, I talked about the Nobel Peace Prize that was received by the Japanese researchers, scientists who have survived themselves the Hiroshima and Nagasaki attacks, nuclear attacks. And so President Biden congratulated them, right? I shared it. Statement from President Biden congratulating. In this statement, here at the end, he says, the United States stands ready to engage in talks with Russia, China, and North Korea without preconditions to reduce nuclear threat. Kremlin has been blowing up today with all this clickbaity news that Biden wants to surrender and is willing to have discussion with Putin without any preconditions just to avoid Russia using their nukes because he's so scared. They took this congratulatory statement and flipped it. My question is, who put that thing into the statement? It sounds weird. I know he meant it well, but careful. Now, this is something where I probably need your help understanding. News are not talking about it. Ukrainian news are not talking about it. Obviously, Western news are not talking about it. But a little bit of a deep dive. So it was announced by Kiev Independent, which is a legitimate Ukrainian newspaper, that Ukraine sells state-owned titanium producer in privatization auction to fund state coffers, right? So here, Ukraine sold state-owned UMCC titanium for $96 million. Just imagine, this is a production facility for titanium, right? $96 million to Semen, Ukraine. The country's state property fund said on October 9th in a statement. As Russia's war drags into third year, there's a difficulty with the budget, so almost half of its planned expenses for 2024 are covered by foreign aid and loans. Earlier this year, country's finance minister warned of a gap in Ukraine's state budget of $5 billion for military expenditures. So far, so good, right? UMCC Titanium is one of the world's largest producers of titanium and miners of rutile and zirconium concentrate. The company was established by Ukraine's government in 2014 to manage and operate the Bilnohirsk and Irshansk mining and metallurgical plants and has been managed by the State Property Fund since 2019. Semen Ukraine and Nexol Holding Company was the sole bidder in the action. So it's pretty much the auction was created for this folk to buy it. Now, here's what I want your attention to be paid to, please. The International Nexol Holding Group of companies is owned by Azeri, meaning from Azerbaijan, businessman Nasip Hasanov. The company owns also Vodafone, Ukraine's second largest mobile operator. So in case of emergency, that's the people who control connection. Now, let's see further. The privatization is part of the country's Great Privatization Initiative, recently relaunched in September. So they say several more enterprises in this industry are planned for privatization in the future, in particular, also different titanium production facilities. Now, world's largest production facility. Now, what is titanium used for? Critical component in aerospace, has higher strength, stiffness, and resistance, right, to corrosion, fractures, creep to strategic alloying. So Ukraine is producing planes and military and missiles and drones, and certainly is very, very, very important thing here. Now, the sale to this folk is as vital for Ukraine looking into the future as that Budapest memorandum or whatever they signed, right, for security. That's where you give your world's largest production thing of what you need desperately to use to somebody else. Now let's figure out who is that somebody else, because it sounds so far so good, right? This Hasip Nasanov or whatever from Azerbaijan. So when you open here, organized crime and corruption, see how my Sunday was. So there's three partners, right? Let's pay attention to marked things. So Aliyev is the leader of Azerbaijan. His close associate and business partner is Nasip Hasanov, right? Now let's look into Aliyev. Aliyev today increasingly sides with Russia, profits from Russia, and appears to take his cues from Putin. Here's my question to Ukraine. You sold Putin your world's largest production of titanium, like what you need to use for your military equipment, for $96 million? Either you're working for Russia yourself, or what the hell? What the hell? WTF? I don't understand this. I've seen only one former FSB agent who lives in Washington, D.C., who talked about it. And he sounded alarmed. He said, I don't know, what happens? This is like the biggest news. Why? This is a production facility in Ukraine, owned by somebody who works for nation's leader, Aliyev, who's best buds with Putin? I don't know. I'm just saying as is. I heard nothing about Germany turning into Karelia. Yeah, you can read. It's all over. I thought Azerbaijan was an old Russian territory. No, it's a country, but very much aligned. There's Azerbaijan, there's Armenia. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Indo-Pacific. So I reported throughout that there were tensions, right, between China and Taiwan. So tensions rose as Chinese Liaoning carrier operated near Taiwan amid political strains. So what they decided to do, here's a map so you understand. Here's Taiwan, here's China, right? And so what they did, I mean, you can read in the newsletter everything very detailed and fancy schmancy written. But easy put, the Chinese military Eastern Theater Command decided to do this military exercise, which they called Joint Sword 2024B. Essentially, for a day, they circled around Taiwan using multiple planes and drones, and multiple, I mean like tens of those, and airplanes, and certainly blocked their airports, ports, which it is an island, right? So even for a day, they could already understand what those war games could lead to. So while some sources suggest that China might refrain from escalating military actions due to upcoming US elections, the possibility of targeted war games against Taiwan remains. So what did happen? The leader of Taiwan on 10th of October held an annual speech where he spoke about Taiwan's sovereignty and that they're not Chinese, which he says pretty much every year. As a reaction to that, Beijing was provoked to do all of this bonanza, which caused a reply from State Department. They called it unprovoked, which also called for reply from Pentagon. They said, we have closely monitored the People's Liberation Army's exercise around Taiwan. This military pressure operation is irresponsible, disproportionate, and destabilizing. As the White House noted last week, it's a long-standing tradition for Taiwan's president to deliver remarks on 10/10. It is a routine domestic-focused address that has historically prompted little response from PRC. Still, the PRC has chosen this opportunity to take provocative military action. Deterrence remains strong in the Indo-Pacific, and the department remains confident in its current force posture and operations in the region. Now, aside from that, Chinese issued this sort of a propaganda video, sort of declaring a war and showing how they're going to win. Let's watch just a little part of it. So, imagine you're on the island, and Keith, I completely agree with you, as management. And so let's just analyze what is happening, right? And I'm calling for our current administration. This is not about Trump. He lies. He aligns with dictators. He admires them. He wants to be one, but he doesn't have really ideology to stick to. He's all about him, which prohibits him to be a dictator. He's just me, me, me. We know all of this. He's nowhere near the White House or Situation Room now. You have the leverage. You have the immunity. You have the executive orders. You are leading us into something. You see, China sees the weakness with Russia. China waits for what the heck is going to happen with Ukraine. And when it sees weakness, it will strike Taiwan. I understand that the election is in 3 weeks. I understand that the new president is going to come in January 20th. And let's assume, hopefully, it's Kamala Harris. But it is up to you, the leadership, National Security Council, President Biden. It's up to you what she will be getting on January 20th. Is she going to deal with 2 wars and possible civil unrest? Or is she going to deal with something stable? It's up to you. You're leading right now. The Ukrainian thing, I understand President is going to Berlin. But the military meeting, Ramstein is the military meeting, is not happening. The victory plan will be shared now publicly by Zelensky. I mean, what is that plan? We need this to do this. Fine. But if you don't have capacity to do this, fine, you share the plan. Good. Congratulations. Now everybody knows your plan. Ukraine is doing whatever, selling their national resources to adversaries and opponent. I don't know. But if Ukraine were to fall, and now this is a new narrative from Poland, if in Lithuania, the military generals spoke. If Ukraine were to fall, Lithuania is prepared to attack Russia if Russians will come from Ukrainian side. So that's what you're already planning on? Don't be so confident to be reactive within minutes. Russia has been fighting for 3 years. If it overtakes a country and it's a winner and it moves forward, hopefully you are ready to strike back. Today it was reported in German media, just like, not really big deal these days, that Russia has provoked and sabotaged a lot of commercial flights in Germany, trying to knock a flight out. They put something in planes that thankfully detonated before the plane picked off. This is a commercial airline. I can share all the resources and sources with you. But this is happening all together. Now, if you surrender to Russia, China will see it. Yes, China is taking parts of Russia too, right? They're taking their parts, but they want to. But certainly Taiwan will be next. And so when Kamala Harris comes in, what is she going to deal with? Split between two wars, but then protecting us? So it's really up to you what your strategy is. Being inactive right now, it's not okay. Not responding to North Korea being a part of the war against Ukraine is not okay. You don't have 3 weeks for that. If the front line falls in 3 weeks, by the time we are electing our next president, Ukraine will be taking over. What are you doing? That's my question. Let's read. We have one comment. We're so upset. There's one comment. I saw that at the end had Taiwan enclosed with circle of the logo. Yeah, I mean, I didn't show that part. Yeah, but it's like, it's all provocative. It's a bunch of BS. But the good news is that President Biden, if there is a will, there is a way. He has all the resources to straighten it all out. You just have to show strength. And don't forget, right? That split is going to be in 3 parts, right? One is Ukraine and Europe. One is the Indo-Pacific. Another one, the big one, is Middle East with Iran. So you have to tame Netanyahu, saying don't, and then he does it. And then we say again, don't, and then he does it. What is this game here? How long will that take? Netanyahu just told everybody, including Americans and American embassies, to evacuate Lebanon. Because if they're not evacuated, he is not responsible for whatever they will suffer. So this is continuing. Ukrainian situation is a shit show. And that evil axis is working together. Ignoring is not enough. We don't have 3 weeks for this. We certainly don't have 3 months for this. But this leadership has all the resources, has all the... I mean, are we missing balls? I don't know, but everything is there to fix it, to show strength. Diplomatic, but strength. And so I know President Biden plays chess, not checkers. I know he's smarter than all of us combined. I know he's more experienced and wiser than all of us combined. And I just ask him to use it. That's all. But I believe in him. Let's keep the faith and let's do what's in our ability. Because in our ability, when you sit at home in the United States, you can't solve the Middle East issues. You can't solve the Ukrainian issues as much as you want to, maybe. You can't solve the North Koreans not marching into Ukraine. What we can do is what is in our capacity. And that's first and foremost, I'll surprise you, is taking care of your own well-being. Right? As on the airplane, put the mask on you, then on somebody else. Your well-being, your plan, your well-being, you being cool, what is it? Cool, calm, collected as a cucumber, whatever. Cool as a cucumber. You being wise and you being you and being well is the biggest thing you can do, because nobody can control you then, because then you are independently thinking and acting. Then make a plan, you vote, you speak to others if it's worth it. If you see it's a closed door, well, protect your well-being. We have to protect our well-being with every single shit show that is happening all around. Don't get too crazy. Know what's in your capacity, focus on that, and then learn about the rest, right? And then keep the faith. It's important. Keep the faith. Okay? Danielle says, we agree, Olga. Seems like we're on the verge of, I think World War III started. I think it's to say that it's not, because so many things are connected. That's what the indicator is. It doesn't mean it's going to touch us here. Okay? Skyman's Falls says, any news if Kamala will appear on Fox? On Wednesday, she will. And what do you think the outcome will be? Well, the positive, thank you for the question, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate you. The positive is that she's going to make Trump go crazy. He's going to be deranged and hide the ketchup type of thing, because she went into his thing. He already posted tweets, right? Fox News is owned by Kamala's PR team and all that kind of nonsense. So for that reason, yeah. In terms of how is it going to benefit her or sway those who are undecided or MAGA, I don't think it is efficient at this point. So I think in terms of like being ballsy, going into enemies' territory and just be there, and she can certainly handle them as much as she can handle Xi and Putin and Kim Jong-un. I have no doubt she can handle all of them, and I'm looking forward to witnessing the greatness. But in terms of election results, I don't know. I don't think it's not because of her. It's because of the situation. Cool as a cucumber. Thank you. Marginal race, so I see the strategy, but personally don't get why she's doing it. And Keith, that's to your point. I agree with you. I kind of see, but then I'm like, it's more PR than something that will manifest in something. Strategy. So to round up on a good note, on a kind thing, here's a video I watched literally 50 times. It's a dad with his daughter riding a bike. I know it sounds stupid, but watch it. Watch it. We need good vibes, okay? So let's watch. So my whole point is, people are the source of panic, right? And all the bad, but people are also a source of good. So I personally on social media, not Twitter shit, but like Instagram, TikTok, I save those cute videos and then I watch all of them and I'm like, the world is wonderful and it's actually beautiful and you are wonderful and beautiful. So protect you, right? Because you're part of this whole, nation and world. Protect you, protect your loved ones, stick to what's in your capacity, right? Keep positive, keep the faith. I believe in vibes and positivity. So let's do that. Let's embrace each other. We spend time as like-minded people. Join us for the debate watching tomorrow. I'm going to post more events for the Fox thing, for other stuff. So we can watch together and chit chat and subscribe, get your actual news. Please share this video. Please like it. Please follow, whatever you can do. Not about me, not about you, but just spreading the actual news, getting people out of the clickbaity sort of bubble where it's all about he said, she said, which really doesn't matter. and just learning of being informed, right? So onest.substack.com. If you support, I'm really grateful for you because you make it all possible. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're done. Happy Columbus Day. I'm not sure he actually discovered America, but that's a whole day. That's a whole story for another day. I have my issues with Columbus, so I'm not really, saying like, hey, happy Columbus Day. History nerd. 9 days clean from alcohol today. I feel so much better for it. Yay! That's awesome. Yes. Awesome, Daniel. Congrats. This is awesome. Thank you, Keith. Thank you. Thank you. And by the way, I see all of your comments and your messages and everything. And you send me videos and articles to point my attention to certain things. I appreciate all of you. This is really, I appreciate you adding your voice to our conversation. See you tomorrow, guys. And for the actual news, and then we watch their debate. So take a breather and do this. So good job, Dan. Yes, Kelly. Yes, Dan is amazing. He did. Yes, clean October. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a good night. Stay safe, keep the faith, and we see each other tomorrow. All right, have a good one.